Ah, hollow-tail lizards. Ostrich dinosaurs. Ooh, everyone's favorite, tyrannosaurids. So many dinosaurs. What? Can't you tell that I am a massive fan of these creatures? Predator battle! Ah!
What is up, everybody? Random Random Man here, bringing you my review for Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. Taking place 3 years after the previous installment, the plot basically follows Owen Grady, played by Chris Pratt, and Claire Dearing, played by Bryce Dallas Howard, as they try to get the remaining dinosaurs off of the island of Isla Nublar. Before I go any further, I want to quickly apologize for my constant mispronouncing of Isla Nublar. Just know that I meant to say that throughout the rest of this review. Before a volcanic eruption destroys it. Going into this movie, I was actually really looking forward to it. As you could tell from my intro and me showing off my dinosaur encyclopedia and 11 of my dinosaur toys, I've been a big fanatic of all things dinosaurs since I was very young. Yet it wasn't until I was a teenager that I actually got to see Jurassic Park, the quintessential dinosaur movie ever made, in my opinion. As, yes, it's a classic and masterpiece in my eyes, definitely one of my absolute favorite movies from director Steven Spielberg. In regards to the sequels, The Lost World Jurassic Park, I think still has some prowess within it, and also being directed by Steven Spielberg. My favorite moment within it is when the T-Rex got loose in San Diego. Jurassic Park 3... really didn't do that much for me, and I didn't even think much of it. And Jurassic World, which we recently got 3 years ago. Wow, a lot of threes I'm mentioning right now. And while there have been detractors of it, I personally really enjoyed that movie, and I thought brought back a lot of the fun that this franchise has been known for. So with this sequel, and this being the second Jurassic World film, and technically the 5th Jurassic Park movie, I thought that the concept of now having the park be completely gone and the remaining dinosaurs being stuck on it and having some of our returning characters come back to help them get off of it had me pumped. Starting out with the cast and their performances, we have the aforementioned Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard both returning as Owen Grady and Claire Dearing. With Pratt as Owen, he is as likable as ever. Chris Pratt is a super charismatic actor. He has been in a lot of previous roles, such as Star-Lord in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and as Emmett in the Lego Movie. And with him being Owen again, he is just as badass as ever, and we even get to see some apprehension from him in returning to Isla Nublar to take back some of the dinosaurs. In fact, Owen is technically coaxed into going back to the now abandoned island for his Velociraptor Blue still being stuck on there, and for Claire Dearing coming to him with the proposition to help her save a bunch of dinosaurs from Isla Nublar. And with Claire herself, again played by Bryce Dallas Howard, I thought she gave another nice performance here. She also has some more sensible footwear this time around while on the island. The banter she has between herself and Chris Pratt remains, I think, charming too, for them kind of being antagonizing towards each other, but also in that they care for each other to a playful extent in this situation that they are both put into. Some returning cast members from the rest of the Jurassic Park series even includes Jeff Goldblum as Dr. Ian Malcolm, who really the total screen time of his performance is what you've probably seen in the trailers for this film, but I still like seeing this guy as this character. And then we also have B.D. Wong return as his doctor character. I'm not going to say how and why he returns here. Some new cast members here include Justice Smith as a systems analyst and hacker who tags along with Owen and Claire on Isla Nublar. I previously saw Smith in Paper Towns, where he played the dude whose parents had the largest collection of black Santas, and that's why he was nervous to bring his girlfriend over to his house. He was very funny there, and Here, Smith and his character are clearly established to be a nervous wreck where he freaks out at any minor thing around him or if danger is in the area. I personally found him to be a bit annoying in him doing nothing but screaming at certain points, but at the same time, I didn't think his character was bad to be implemented into the movie. My audience was personally cracking up at whatever he did. Also, tagging along with Owen and Claire is a paleo veterinarian played by Daniela Pineda. Gotta shout out a fellow Mexicana here. Orale! But I thought her addition to the film was valuable in that she was able to fix a dinosaur up, and she had a no-nonsense attitude too, which I welcomed. James Cromwell plays Sir Benjamin Lockwood, a former partner of John Hammond, who you may remember from the first Jurassic Park, and he was developing some technology to clone dinosaurs, and he had the most dodgiest British accent I've ever heard in a movie recently. Yet other than that, his character had some intrigue behind him. So did his granddaughter, played by Isabella Sermon, who I thought for a child performance, she did a competent job as well. She had more prominence towards the second half of the film, but when she showed up on screen, I thought she had some nice intrigue, especially with what is revealed about her character. There are some more characters that I will mention later in this review, but for the most part, with the cast here, especially the returning Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, I thought they gave the strongest performances, and the cast mostly I felt were solid. The writing in this film sets up something that we've seen before in this series, but also tries to put some new spins on it throughout. Now, while Colin Trevorrow does return to co-write the movie with Derek Connolly, he does not return to direct. Instead, J.A. Bayona directs this movie, but in terms of Trevorrow and Connolly's script, yeah, like I've said, this movie doesn't really set up anything new involving the morality of saving these genetically modified dinosaurs or not. As when the movie begins, we see a team of mercenaries try to go to the abandoned island at night and pick off some remains there. One guy even says to the other, nothing should be alive here by now. Oh, but they are wrong. And then we see Bryce Dallas Howard's Claire, if you recall from the previous movie, was the head of Jurassic World, now an activist trying to gather support for saving these dinosaurs off of the island, and she later goes to Chris Pratt's Owen to try to get his help. And then once he is recruited and some of the rest of her team gets involved too, they head off to Isla Nublar with some mercenaries to try and save these creatures. Now, in the way this movie does begin, I was really into it. We also get set up in what happens to Lockwood, played by James Cromwell, and what goes on with his side of the story meanwhile. These storylines and how they came together in the first half, in my opinion, left me very engaged with what was happening. Once we got to Isla Nublar in its now decrepit state, it leads into these characters amidst trying to get these dinosaurs off of the island, getting involved with escaping the volcanic eruption that does ensue in bringing the island down, as it is very clearly stated that this volcano is now active, and once these characters get involved in it, it reminded me of the sequence in the first Jurassic Park film where some of our characters there were running with the dinosaurs away from a looming threat. It was quite an outstanding sequence to see, and it even struck a bit of an emotional chord with me in some of the images that are shown before that sequence does end, and yeah, got me a bit in the feels for sure. And then we get into the rest of the movie. Now, what I have to say in how this movie is structured, it is clear in how the first half is so different from its second half. The first half very much has to do with these characters on Isla Nublar, but the second half changes style and setting. To some, that is going to be pretty jarring unless you've seen a lot of the marketing material with this movie. It's not going to be that much of a surprise, but it really does go for a massive change once we do get off of the island, as it ends up turning into something where it involves the Lockwood Manor and more of what happens with that side of the story. This includes some more characters gaining prominence in the plot, such as the one played by Rafe Spall, who's actually the guy who hires Owen, Claire, and the others to go on the island and do their mission, I didn't find his character to be that interesting or compelling. Plus, I could tell from a mile away that he had ulterior motives to sending this team to Isla Nublar and getting these dinosaurs out of there. This also includes another character that I wasn't too fond of, the one played by Ted Levine, who was the head mercenary of sorts on the island with our protagonist, and he was just the cliche, tough-looking and sounding guy who also has ulterior motives because he's working for Spall's character. And then there's another antagonist character of sorts played by Toby Jones, who shows up about halfway through the movie after the Isla Nublar sequence concludes, and oh my god. I like this actor a lot in some other work I've seen him in, but man, he was such a caricature here with how he displayed his appearance and his overall demeanor. These three characters certainly added to the other big issue I had with this movie in it not aiding the film in differentiating itself from the rest of the Jurassic franchise, in that they are just the typical bad guys who have their own deeds in mind for using these dinosaurs, and it really didn't make them that much different from Vincent D'Onofrio's character from the previous Jurassic World film. So in that regard, it also made it kind of predictable as to what they were going to do, especially within the second half and some more things happening. However, I wasn't bothered that immensely by what was going on because I was admiring a lot of the filmmaking that was at display here. J.A. Bayona really knows how to frame a lot of shots and create some atmosphere, as he's done in the past with El Orfanato, or The Orphanage in English, which is a horror movie, and especially within the second half, we get to see a lot of shades of horror that the Jurassic franchise has used in the past, and I thought it was nicely implemented with what happens within the final big moments. The visuals here are also impressive, not just the production design, but the look of the dinosaurs themselves. More dinosaurs are shown off here with practical effects and CGI, yet I did notice quite a bit practical effects being implemented here, which delighted me, as of course I'm a big fan of the original Jurassic Park, but also the dinosaur fanatic inside me loved seeing how a lot of these creatures were rendered and shown on the screen. And with that, in them being involved with the action here I also think was nicely implemented. I feel it's well edited for the most part as well, and what adds on to what is happening here is the score from Michael Giacchino. I just saw and reviewed Incredibles 2 last week, and I absolutely loved his score for that movie, and Giacchino has also scored the previous Jurassic World film. And what he does with his music here, I also think added some of the similar nostalgic feel that we felt in the previous Jurassic World film. Some reprises from the franchise in the past we hear again. Pacing-wise, I thought this movie was mostly well-timed at a little over 2 hours. The only parts I would say it dragged in some areas was within the second half of the film, but I was never significantly bored watching this movie. And the way it all comes together, by the end, I would say that I had an enjoyable time watching this movie. Now, yes, this movie does have glaring issues that have been rampant throughout this franchise and are really notably shown within this installment. At the same time, however, a lot of what this movie does bring on with its thrills, despite its cookie cutter villains and style shift seemingly not going to land with everybody, it brings on with the pure popcorn fun that this franchise has known to deliver, especially with that first Jurassic Park film. None of these moments are up to par with what the original brought to the table. No movie, I think, in this series or ever is going to match up to what Jurassic Park first brought 25 years ago. But the highs that this movie has, I feel, bring a level of entertainment here that is able to stand on its own. And personally, with all of the zingers that were left at the end of this movie, like a minor post-credits scene following up all of what does conclude this story, it had me enticed to see what could possibly happen next with the planned third entry to wrap up this trilogy. And with all of that being said, those who are into this franchise for all of the dino dynamics will certainly get what they want here. Not much in the way of substance is presented, much like the previous Jurassic World film. But I also got the impression that those involved in making this movie had a fun time during the production and want to bestow that feeling with us, the audience. And for me and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, I did certainly feel that. I recommend it. My final verdict for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is 3.5 out of 5 stars. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Social media links in the description. Subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.